So I think we all know somebody who feels entitled to things, and they don't necessarily want to explain themselves all the time. They want to have the last words in all the arguments, and they don't want to explain themselves or ever say sorry. And I don't necessarily agree with the quote, but the quote from John Wayne, "Never apologize and never explain, it's a sign of weakness." I don't agree that explaining yourself is a sign of weakness. It's just communicating what's going on with other people, and just to like prevent arguments and stay out of trouble. Just to explain yourself, and yeah, an example of somebody who never apologizes and never explains is my girlfriend. Whenever we get in arguments, she would rather like burn or stab herself than saying sorry and explaining herself to me, and that's just how life goes and how things are, I guess. But it's just a sign of weakness for her, and she would not do that first. And yeah, that's it.
It'd be like this.
I can't chew.
All right, well, let's start off with a couple of things that are not so great, and then we'll talk about the things that you did that were pretty good. At the end of the speech, you just bail. I mean, even if you don't have anything more to say, just come back to the quote, remind us what the quote is, and that you agree with it. And that's a little bit easier. It just feels like I'm done. You know, and you don't want to throw your hands up. You want to look like you were in control, and you made the decision to bring it to a conclusion instead of the absence of anything else to say is what made the decision for you. I think you had the right idea at first. You know, when you have the topic in your hand and then you put it in your pocket, get it out of your hands and and be done with it. But then you go back into your pocket and pull it out again. And then it goes back into the pocket. And then it comes out, and then you've got it in your hands the whole time. So it's like you knew what the right thing to do was, but you couldn't stop yourself from kind of keep going back and forth into the pocket. And that's probably a little bit of nervous energy. You're not sure what to do with your hands. And you're going to the quote as that reassurance, I've got something. Instead of sticking with what you've got in your brain, why is this true? Now, you've got a good example, a good idea to talk about, but the idea doesn't have any detail to it. All right, so give us one of those examples of when your girlfriend was unforgiving or unwilling to do that. The argument that you had about what movie to see or what to do for dinner or whether or not you were going to spend time with her family or something along those lines. Remember the last time that you had a conflict and she was clearly in the wrong. And in the end, it was like she admitted that she was wrong, but she wouldn't say that she was wrong. She just said, oh, yeah, well, let's do it that way. Instead of saying, well, why did we do? And you'll be able to think of one of those examples. Like I was saying to people earlier, you're going to think of a dozen things in the next couple of hours. They're going to come to you whether you're thinking, and go, I could have said that, I could have said that. And you've got a dozen examples. You might want to think of a time when you didn't apologize when you probably should have, and that would give you something else to talk about. So if you got the one where your girlfriend didn't do it and one with you, where you're doing it, then you've got two examples, and then there's a structure. You don't really have much of a structure here, so that's I think a little bit problematic. I think you're doing okay with your voice. I mean, you project. We can hear you. It's pretty fluent, but because it's so short, we don't really get much chance to assess other characteristics of the presentation. I think you could do a little bit better job engaging us, but as I'm making notes here, you're finished. You know, it's like you've used 20% of the time that you had available. It was very short, and so it's a little bit hard for me to give a more complete assessment on other skills when that happens. So I would probably say more nice things about the way you spoke had I had a little more opportunity to observe them. All right, thank you.